Hello.
I'm Gaby Alcalá, the creator of A Cada Paso. This podcast explores the life of individuals who may not be famous, but that are making a significant difference in their community. We are here to show that there is wisdom and inspiration all around us. Hi, everybody. Today, the podcast is in English. I met this woman, Alethea Felton, that impressed me a lot because the story of her life. She's a coach, a motivational speaker, a writer, but also she does what is called holistic transformation, especially for leaders in organizations. But her story is one of those that you say you live the life that you want to live. In most cases, I will say. Without telling you more, just listen to her. She has a lot of energy and a great story and a great way to describe her life. I hope you enjoy, and if you do, please share with someone else. Hello, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for joining A Cada Paso. I'm very glad to have you here and learn your story.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that I'm here, Gabby. Thank you.
So I always start with my guest telling us in 2 minutes, or telling the audience in 2 minutes, who you are and however you want to describe yourself.
Well, I am someone who loves life. I love adventure. I love new things and new happenings. I'm always in search of discovering something new, either about myself or the world around me. That's how I describe myself. And I'm also someone that's very resilient and I bounce back. And I'm pretty optimistic. I usually view things as the glass is half full to overflowing. So that's who I am at the core of me as a person.
Okay, I love this. And I know I've read your story, and I'm very, I don't know how to describe. I think I'm a little bit surprised, but in a good way, that you didn't start your describing yourself with the challenges that you faced.
Mhm.
So I know you face a bunch of challenges in your life, and because the way you describe your friends, you probably overcame them. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell us about the challenges that impacted your life and how you overcame them, or how you managed them, I guess.
Manage them, yes. So, in terms of the challenges that I've overcome, I would categorize them as three different areas, which would be health challenges, heartbreak, and grief. But specifically, the main crux of my life has been with health challenges. I was born with chronic illness, born with conditions of my colon and liver that
Mhm.
aren't curable. So I was born into this world 43 years ago, sick. And I put sick in air quotes because although medically I have problems with my organs. Over the years, I've learned how to not see them necessarily as disabilities, but I've always still lived a pretty normal life. So my parents raised me to still have a happy childhood, to still be a go-getter and an achiever. And even later on in life, when I had critical condition, when I was so sick I was going to transition into hospice, I planned my whole funeral. I still knew deep down inside, Gabi, that my story wasn't over. So what I started to do was I implemented, of course, my faith. My faith plays a big role of it in believing in a power greater than myself, but also taking the power within me to will myself to live. So really visioning my life. How did I see myself outside of that sick state? How could I do what I could at the state I was in without trying to overextend myself? So I used a lot of mindset principles, stress management techniques, breath work, and I made sure that I kept myself nourished in a positive way. So even if I was sick, I would affirm that I was healthy. I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm whole, even if that wasn't the case. So that's how I've managed it over the years. And of course, following my doctor's orders. And I use both Western medicine, but also naturopathic treatments
Is that what
also.
is called functional?
Yes, so yes, functional, holistic treatments also in addition to traditional doctors.
Technique. Um, but was this something that your parents taught you to do? Where did they say from early on, I mean, we're not sorry for this, you
Mhm.
gotta keep going. What in that philosophy and the way you were raised helped you get to where you are? Or were you born like this and that's it? I mean, you had a strength from the
Mhm.
beginning, so.
I think it's a combination of both. I would credit my dad for really being the eternal optimist when I was growing up. I'll give you an example. Whenever I love rain, I love rain, I love thunderstorms. I absolutely love it. I don't care if I'm at home or outside in it. I love rain. And I remember as a little girl when it would be rainstorms or thunderstorms, my father would have me stand in the doorway with him, and we had a screen door, like a mesh
Mhm.
door. And we would stand there and he would tell me, "You see the rain?" He said, "Although it's cloudy outside, the sun is still somewhere behind the clouds." So he's telling me when I'm 5 and 6 years old about how life is like that rain cloud, how we'll
Wow.
have challenges, but there's still always sun. And without the rain, we couldn't have the flowers, we couldn't have the grass. So he's like this philosopher when I'm a small kid. And of course, my faith was always there. They taught me to believe in God, but they always said God is not a genie. So he doesn't grant wishes. And they never wanted me to view God as just this wish giver. I still had to take actions to make things happen in my life. So that's where it really, really stems from.
So two questions here. One
Mhm.
is, isn't this what is called sometimes toxic positivity? How do you view it? It's not,
Mm-mm.
you don't view it like,
No. No, I think
why?
toxic positivity is when a person doesn't acknowledge the hard times. That's toxic.
Okay.
So the toxic positivity is when all a person sees is positive without while ignoring what's actually happening. If it were toxic positivity, then I wouldn't do what any of my doctors say to do. I would just say la la la, everything's okay. It's not there. I personally would be foolish if I did that. So it's not toxic positivity. It's just a way of not being a victim. I'm not a victim of anything. My health, part of why I didn't start off describing my challenges is this might sound strange, but my health, Gabby, is the least of my concerns in my life. I don't really think about it. I know I have these diagnoses, but I've just learned over the years that every person on earth goes through a challenge. It might not be health, but it could be something else. We all go through something challenging, but it doesn't have to be the core and the root of who I am. So I can help people change their view about their situation while still acknowledging it. And I want to also make it clear there have been times in my life where I've been angry at God, I've been mad, I've told God I can't stand this, I don't like what's happening. Depression and sadness have come in, and I've sought therapy. So it's not like it's every single day happy, happy, joy, joy.
Yeah,
There are still real human frustrations involved in it.
totally, totally.
Mhm.
So Tell me a little bit about the things that you do for others and for yourself that
Mhm.
are critical to manage your health, your challenges, your day, your brain, whatever.
Mhm.
What are the things you do because with your clients and with yourself?
Mhm. Yes. So, for me, in terms of the work I do, I don't specialize necessarily in people with chronic illness. I help leaders in general, entrepreneurs, as well as people in leadership roles, really master or maximize resilience, that bounce back factor. And then from there, I help them transform their setbacks into breakthroughs. So, what that looks like in terms of the work that I do, I get to the core and the heart of okay, what is an area of life that has you stuck? What's a challenge that you've been experiencing where you want to get to that next level in either your personal life, career, business, and you can't? Where is that block there? And then from there on in, totally individual basis, I will take them through the steps of first examining what their mindset is like because I'm also a certified holistic health coach and certified life coach. And so I merge the two of holistic principles into what I do to help people, to get people to see we are spiritual beings living a physical existence. So we're mind, body, spirit, and more. And so once we can kind of take our mind and our thoughts, we examine what lies are you telling yourself? What are you saying that you can't do? What has helped, what has contributed to this block. So it's not psychotherapy, but it's pretty much at that surface level of digging deeper into your mind and how you view yourself. And then from there, implementing practical strategies. What are you doing to take care of you? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating well? Do you have a social life or is everything just work, work, work? So
Mhm.
I see what is your life itself looking like. And then from there, we talk about what does resilience look like for you. Let's see what other areas of your life have you bounced back in. And I also do visualization techniques with
Like what? Tell me more
clients.
about that.
Sure. So I'll show you an example. This is something that I've done for myself. I call it my vision book.
Uh-huh.
And I literally take different categories of my life and
Ah,
I create a book of how I want it to be. Now, I don't do these every year, but I did this early in 2023. And I can tell you, Gabby, that 80, when I started this, none of this happened. I would tell you about 75% to 80% has happened and I'm not studying it to make it happen, but I glance at it every day. And
yeah.
so what it does is that there is proof, and I won't get into all of the science because I'm a nerd, but there's proof that your mind does have a direct
Totally.
correlation
Totally.
to your life. And
Totally.
so that's what I do for clients, plus more. Now, for me personally, stress management is so key for me.
What do you
So,
do for stress management?
yes, so I exercise regularly. I love to walk and run, and I also have a personal trainer, so I strength train as well.
Yeah, very
I
important.
love to cook. I have cooked since I was 8 years old. Years ago, I had my own catering company. I love to cook. And so I make healthier meals. Food doesn't necessarily, my conditions aren't caused by food, but to make myself feel well, I do try to cook healthier. But when I want to, I will eat something that's maybe not all that great, but I only do it in moderation. I also love nature. So the outdoors brings me such peace. So anytime I can get to a park, a trail, anything where I'm outside, I come alive. I also enjoy traveling. Ironically enough, With my health, I do have to get approval from all of my doctors first, but I like traveling or just taking little short, brief day trips if I'm not flying somewhere. So those are different techniques that I use. And an area I'm getting better in is sleeping. I did get 8 hours last night. Sometimes I get five. So I've had insomnia since childhood, and I've had so many treatments, but that's the one area that I'm constantly working on is improving in my sleep.
Don't go anywhere. We're coming back. For now, listen to our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Arco Homes, experts in the design and construction of premium homes tailored to your dreams. Follow them on Instagram and LinkedIn at Arco Homes or their website at www.thearcohomes.com.
Mhm.
I had one person who came to the podcast and she said about visualization, that if you cannot visualize it, imagine how you will feel, connected with the feel or a smell or something,
Mhm.
so that it helps you visualize. But I also want to say about the lies we tell ourselves. I'm reading a book right now about
Mhm.
scarcity mind, and it's related to the lies you tell yourself. And I'm like, I'm pretty honest with myself.
Mhm.
But I did the exercise this week about something I didn't do. And I said, okay, what are the lies that I'm telling myself of why I didn't do it? And it was very important to do it because I was lying to myself. I was like, the excuses I was saying, putting were not,
Mhm.
were just a mask of what it was inside. So I love what you said that there about what are the lies that you're telling yourself.
Mhm.
Um, for people interested in becoming holistic transformation coach, what advice would you give them?
Hmm. So thank you for asking that. I've never been asked that question actually. So thank you for it. For a person who wants to become a holistic transformation coach, I think, and this might sound cliche, but I think that the first step is to really understand your why.
Mm,
It's become, in my opinion, wellness, mindfulness, holistic has become very trendy lately, especially since the pandemic. But I have been certified as one since pre pandemic. I first really got introduced to it maybe about 20 years ago. And I hired a health coach for myself 10 years ago.
mhm.
And that person is the one who sparked me to become one. So understanding your why is important because in order to really do the holistic work, I think people must be believable and have a certain amount of credibility. I'm not saying that you have to go through a health challenge, but if a person's doing it because it's popular, that's not really going to be it. You're not going to have the passion. So, first, understand your why. Secondly, research a really good program. You don't have to be in the States, you don't have to be licensed or certified to be a coach, but it helps.
Yeah.
It helps to go to a school that specializes. I went to Institute for Integrative Nutrition that's based in New York. It's the oldest health coaching school in the country. And it was a virtual program. They have expanded by leaps and bounds. A man named Joshua Rosenthal is the founder. But what I liked about that is, although it did talk a lot about food, one of the concept is one person's food is another person's poison. So
Yeah.
it's not a one size fits all
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
And then you learn the mind body connection, the financial connection, the social, everything. So it doesn't have to be that school, but research a really good health coaching school. And then from there, just start practicing on people that you know, sharing your info with people that you know. And then in time, you can build your business, or maybe you just want to be a coach to work on yourself. That's what I did. I started off, Gabi, implementing what I learned on me. to
Mm.
see if it works.
Oh, you
So
gotta walk the talk, no?
experimented. Yeah. So I experimented on myself in addition to being coached, but especially when I was going through the training myself, I said, let me try this on me. And it worked. And I'll also say, almost as dis a disclaimer, it takes practice. It's ongoing practice. Some days are going to be better than others. You might fall off here and pick up there. So it's that ongoing work. But that's
Like
my
everything in
personality.
life, I would say.
Exactly.
Anything we do in
Exactly.
life is like that. So
Mhm.
I, uh, and I don't know if what I'm gonna ask is fair,
Okay.
but I find, and maybe I'm talking about my life, but I'm probably generalizing, but I find that my generation, we were raised with do it, don't complain, I don't know, like move on, don't stay stuck in this problem. Or I feel the younger generations are more, they stay a little bit more in their misery
Mm.
because, I mean, they
Mhm.
say because I am this, because this happened to me, because someone said this, because, and I need to, I think it's great that they're taking more time for to understand the things that are going through. But I
Mhm.
also feel they are identifying themselves with those problems. They're like, as opposed to what you did today, you didn't start introducing yourself. I'm a person that has
Mm-mm.
this condition. But I
Mhm.
find that the younger generation are doing more of that. So are there things that we can teach them or share with them that will make them a little bit move more from the issues they have to a more, it is what it is. I got to figure out how to live with X, Y, and Z.
Thank you for asking that because one of the things that I didn't let your audience know, I think I may have told you, I know that we've known each other for several months, but prior to me shifting into full-time entrepreneurship, I was an entrepreneur for many years part-time, but my full-time career for 20 years, I was a public school educator.
Okay. Oh,
So
I love this. I forgot that.
yeah. So I did teaching, I did school leadership, and I ended my career in human resources. So I share that because I've literally over my career worked with kindergarten all the way through adult education. My main with students was middle and high schoolers who are now grown. So I started my career teaching when I was only 21. So my first group of students are in their mid to late 30s now. I say that because I had the privilege over the years of seeing different groups of students. And I do agree with you, actually, based on my 20 years of experience. I agree that the younger era do tend to have more of a non-resilient factor to them. Not taking away their talents and skills, but they do almost wallow in a sense. And so, what I've done over the years in working with children under 18, but also those friends of mine or relatives who are in, say, their 20s, who are the Gen Zers or Generation Alpha who are younger. But it first goes back to really starting to understand who you are as a person, to knowing yourself, and to know that you are more than your circumstance. And if we can start with that aspect of getting them to really start to figure out, and yes, you're learning and figuring it out, but if you can say, hold on, you're more than just the problem that you've gone through. Think about how you've overcome this. That was a tactic that I used throughout my career. And I don't say this to brag, but other teachers saw it, or teachers I coached and helped saw it and wondered, how did I make that connection? Because not to say I didn't care about your problems, but life is more than that. So I
Yeah.
think it starts with getting them to see this is a problem, but we all go through something. So tell me something a little more uplifting about yourself, or how can you conquer this problem and move on to the next so that you aren't stuck?
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
Um, so I want, where can people find you?
Yes, so people can find me. I also have a podcast, the Power Transformation Podcast, doing really well. That's on all podcast platforms. You can find me there. I'm on Instagram at Alethea Felton, TikTok at Alethea Felton, and Facebook as well. I'm also on LinkedIn. I do have a website, but I will tell you, I'm creating a new offering, so my website is there, but it's not super active. So you can go up there, you can contact me, but it's going to be revamped by the end of this year. But you can find me on all social media platforms, LinkedIn, and of course, my podcast, The Power Transformation Podcast.
So I normally end my podcast with something my father used to say, a phrase. This time I'm going to do something different. I don't have a phrase, but you make me realize when you were describing your story with your father in the rain and how he told you there is a sun beyond that. My father was very also like he was also into this amazing philosophy of life, and he taught me a lot of what I do right now. But I hate rain. And I was gonna say when you said that, oh, he didn't teach me that. But the reality is that he did. I didn't learn it.
Mm.
He actually used to tell me, why do you care about the rain? You cannot change it. You can't change it. So why do you complain? Rain, sun, don't worry about it. So I deep inside, he was giving me a similar advice that your father gave to you.
Hmm.
So thank you for making me realize that. Is there a phrase that you use for yourself to keep you moving?
It's two simple words, and it's literally keep going. That is really what I say that a lot, and that is the phrase that keeps me going is keep going. Just keep going. I cannot control my if life were predictable or if it were to happen the way that it should have, Gabi, I shouldn't have lived to see 30. And I'm 43 and I'm doing really, really well.
I'm sorry.
And so all that I can say is keep going until I can't control, just like none of us, when we leave this earth. I can't control it. So as long as I have breath, I can figure out a way. And even in extreme circumstances, I say, God forbid if I lose limbs, I could still keep going because there are people online who are quadriplegics and paraplegics who don't have arms or legs and are still doing amazing things.
Yeah.
So my point is keep going. That's all that you do. Even if you got to take life 1 hour at a time, even if you can't, even if you don't have the capacity to take 1 day at a time, take it half hour by half hour, but just make it through and keep going.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure
Gabby.
speaking with you. Very energetic. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye bye.
Bye.
This podcast has been edited and produced by Bitmark, a marketing agency specialized in digital content. You can find them on social media as @Bitmark.